Hello and welcome to part 1 of 3 on my home gym build. Starting today with the prep and the design. Part 2 is all about the delivery and the build. And part 3 is all about the finished product and maybe a training montage or two. We shall see. For a bit of context, we moved into this house on September the 11th, 2020. Really busy end of the year, November project, Christmas, etc, etc. Plus, gyms were still open in the UK at this point, so we didn't really need to get ahead with the gym too much. But now that gyms are closed, it's time to get ahead. So, this is a video from when we first viewed the house. I don't actually have a video of what the room was like beforehand other than this, which for the sake of a transformation video is really good. Nice one, Fergus. But that's what it looked like beforehand. Pretty simple, not too much work to do. Wrong. Biggest issue that we were faced with to start with was a 58mm discrepancy from the top to the bottom of the garage itself, so we basically had to level that out. I say we, that is not something that I can do, so I brought in the help of my good friend Lewis and his dad, who is in the trade. And as you can see here, they have a laser level in the background, bearing in mind the 58mm discrepancy. They've then marked out points on the floor at which to put in screws, which they will then do to a certain height, which will get higher and higher as it gets closer to the driveway at the bottom of the garage, which will basically indicate, once the self-leveling compound goes in, what height it needs to go to for it to be level, if that makes sense. So, as you can see here, screws going in, that is the main indication for the self-leveling compound. I think we got through about 18 bags of this stuff here, and I'll put the link in the description down below in case any of you want to use it in the future. But it had to be a higher level of it just because there was such a big gap to fill. As you can see, it's just mixed with water and then spread around the place until it levels itself out. Amazing stuff, really. Bit of shuttering at the bottom and between the garages as well, so that it wasn't spilling all over the place. But yeah, it was basically just a case of putting that in until the screws were just hidden, checking that that was the case, spreading it around so it was all level, leaving it to set overnight. 24 hours, all it takes. Amazing, amazing. And then, the following day, in goes the horse matting. Link in the description down below for that as well. Great alternative to conventional gym flooring, as it is a little bit on the cheaper side. However, stock issues at the moment, as I think a lot of people have had the same idea as I have. So if you're in the equestrian world, might be difficult to get horse matting right now. But again, I stood and watched as Steve cut out the puzzle that is placing the horse matting in the room itself. Got this all set up, took about 24 hours with a bit of heat in there for the rubber to level, and then we were good to go, to be honest. So as you can see, beautiful blueprint to get cracking just before we set off with the painting. Alright, so standing in a fully horse matted, fully leveled blueprint for what's next. Sounds a little dramatic, but I'm gonna run with it. Plan with the painting is these two walls here are going to be black. There's going to be a logo there, there's going to be a logo there, and there's going to be a logo there in white, so that's going to look sick, I think we can all agree. And then the brickwork is going to be bright white. Going to do that with a spray gun that's also a paint gun. Could that work? Spray gun. You heard it here first. I'm going to run with it. Just blemishes to pick up, etc. Lighting wise, I'm still not 100% sure on what route to take. I'm thinking LED strip lights coming from these plugs over here, but time will tell. But gonna get on with the painting now because the gym is due to arrive next week, so I want to get ahead of time cosmetically for when it all arrives. How exciting, how exciting. This thing is a godsend. It's got that wall done very quickly. The blackest of black paint coming in here. However, I've already ruined it by spraying. I'm doing up here. Here. Alright, so that is coat 1 done there. We're going to do a second coat tomorrow, but I don't think there's any merit in showing you the same thing again, so you'll just have to take my word for it. That was actually quite tricky in points. Stuff like this here, we're going to have to sort of fill in with the white. I don't know if you can see, it's just, it doesn't really stick to the rubber sealant, so hopefully we can fill that in with white tomorrow. And then the wires at the top up here were a bit of a pain in the arse because they kind of got in the way in the paint. But all in all, pleased with how it looked. This thing was an absolute godsend. Spray gun, pew, 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 pew. Happy days, happy days. Gonna have a bit paint spattered horse matting, but character. That's character. Tells a story. Alright, so as you may have already guessed, all my kit is coming from Black Box in Belfast. They've been absolute legends throughout this whole process and I cannot recommend them enough. Went to them with a long list of everything that I was after, worked with their gym designer software, their customer services department, and have basically come up with the most space efficient, cost efficient way of working with the space that I've got available to me. Which is ultimately with home gyms the biggest challenge, because we want as much bang for our buck as we can get for space and for money, given that we don't have the luxury of sticking in a hack squat, a leg press and every other machine under the sun, for example. So working with these guys has been great because it's helped me figure out a few things that I can add in that don't take up too much space but might provide an alternative to other exercises, etc, etc. If you head to their website up here, blackboxfitness.com, and then go to the top bar, you can go to the gym designer section, which is where the excitement truly starts. Once you have logged in, if you are not already registered with an account, you'll have to create an account, but you can then go to this section here and create new gym. Let's call this Fergus's home gym. There is no shortage of creativity in this household, don't you worry about that. Create new gym here, and it takes you into this lovely software where things get exciting. So first up, you get to choose your room shape, and it doesn't look like you can adjust too much here, but don't worry, you can do that once you go in. So I'm mostly rectangular. There's a few bits of wall sticking out, but that's something you can add once you're in there. If we head to next, you can then choose the dimensions. I'm just over 5 meters, so let's go 510 centimeters. Width-wise, I'm 263, so 263 centimeters. And ceiling height is lacking, I'm not going to lie, so no overhead press work for me. Hit start, and then we are working with the space. So as you see here, we've got a 2D render, and we have a 3D render. I know what you're thinking, whoa, where did the windows come from? Well, I haven't managed to fit any windows into the garage, but what we can do to make the space completely bespoke to us, delete that, and then place, no, not place window, got rid of them. Place, I've done it again, place windows, place door, there we go. Place garage door in at this end, scale it to the wall, that's a little bit out of sync there. And then we've got the garage door so that the 3D render is more akin to my gym. But, why stop there? Let's add the little bits of logistical stuff that we've got to figure out. So I'm going to add that wall sticking out there. I'm going to add that wall sticking out there. This isn't exactly to scale, but based on my best guesses, that is where the measurements go to. So as you can see again, we are starting to take shape. Colour scheme's a little bit off, but we'll get to that. Don't worry. Right, so once we've got that set up, what we can do is provide some creative flair in the way of colour schemes. Before this, I was dead set on having it white, but once I played around with this design software, I found that actually there were a few different elements that I wanted. So everything in there is already sort of pure brilliant white, as this is called, but what I found whilst playing around in here was this lovely tone here, which has convinced me to go a bit darker on the other walls, as you will have already seen. So if you drag that in there and then drag it onto this outside bit here, that will make that wall that colour, and same again here. So then again, look at that. Doesn't that look familiar? I don't have the luxury of an actual door nor door handle there, but I think we'll let it slide for the sake of argument today. So there you go, that is the space that we're working with, and what we can do next is return to 2D. We can actually, you know what I'll do for making it look even better? Let's make the floor the colour of the horse mats. Tell you what, if we're talking accuracy, this is up there. Now, the exciting part, we get to drag and drop the equipment that is available into the space. Must be said, this isn't Black Box's entire range, this is basically what they have available at that time. So there are certain things that aren't in here at the moment because they're not available down to stock. So what I would advise if you're going through this process yourself is you build as much as you can around the vision that you've got in your head, and then you take it to the customer services team for them to fill in the gaps around when stock's arriving, what could go elsewhere, what alternatives might be provided, etc. Because there's a few things that I've got coming, for example, that aren't available in the design software right now, but they update it every couple of days so that you've got a good idea of what's available when, so that you can create the best, most relevant vision of your gym right here. So let's get cracking. I'm going to drag and drop the most functional element of the gym so far, which is the folding rack, which is going to be a bit of a pain to get mounted to the wall. Not my expertise, but Lewis is coming back to help me with that, so fear not. Exciting little feature here is once you drag and drop in, it gives you the option to go to checkout, so it creates a basket for you as you go. So if you are that confident in your design abilities and you drag and drop and it looks sick, you're sold there and then, you can pull the trigger, get it on its way to you straight away from then. So, folding rack is in there. I think position-wise we will be about here. And then you've got two options. You can look at it like this and then sort of drag and drop, or you can view more and let's say bumper storage, you can click on that, place item, and then it gives you the option here. And what you can do now is you can go to 3D mode and you can position everything from within there. So obviously I'm not going to have bumper plate storage on the floor, that would defeat the purpose of it. So I'm going to drag one up there, which is where that would be. I'm going to go back to 2D mode and I'm going to find it in the left column so I can drag and drop again. Where are we? Drag and drop that there, back to 3D mode, and it's done it itself. But what you can do is you can basically play around with this so that it goes up and down as much as it wants to. So once back in 2D, you can see that we're accumulating things in our checkout here. What else have I got going in? So drag and drop a flat bench in here. Ooh, don't like that angle. So let's put that there for sake of argument. That'll look good. That'll look good. So again, added to the basket here, I have a kettlebell and dumbbell rack going in, which I know isn't in stock here at the moment. So for sake of argument, I'm going to put in this dumbbell rack in here, which is where the other rack is going to go. It's not going to be the exact same. In terms of visualizing it, this is as good as we're going to get at the moment based on stock levels. What else am I going to add? This is the fun part. So there is a barbell hanger going in here. I'm going to drag that across there a little bit as well, actually. So barbell hanger in there, and in fact, I've been a fool. There is one more plate storage going in over here. So let's see where it's put that on the wall. Yeah, that's pretty much where it's going to go, to be fair. So that's how that wall is going to be looking. And back to 2D mode. We are also missing a utility bench, which I believe is in stock at the top. So yeah, drag that in there. I'll put this in here for sake of argument. Yeah, nice, nice. Line those up. I don't want them looking out of place. Got that in there. Cool. So I'm just trying to see if there is anything else here at the moment that I'm missing from what I've got on the way. But basically, I went through this process, sent a list over to Black Box. We then worked together based on the design. Their customer service team mocked it up into design at their end. They sent it to me. I decided, yep, I like that colour scheme. Thank you very much for the suggestion. I've gone with that now. I've cocked up the painting, but win some, lose some. But this is basically the range that's available in stock at the moment. Obviously, if you're building out an entire gym from start to finish like I am, you're not going to be able to do it right away necessarily because of stock, but this is a great place to get started and start playing around with your vision for your gym. So if we go into the 3D render here, you can see that that's looking pretty good, and I'm pretty excited about that. So in terms of using the space, it's giving you everything you need to understand where it'll be going, the clearance, because it's very easy when you're sort of visualizing things to think, oh, 2 meters is great, but you don't necessarily account for the space around that you might need for putting weights on and off, etc, etc. So this is a fantastic way to get a grip on that and to play around with certain wall placements, certain room placements, and try your hand at being an interior designer, as I have, as you know. Mixing a dark shade with a light shade is pretty revolutionary, I must say. But if you get to that stage, you do have the option then to go to checkout. Obviously this is missing barbell plates, etc, etc, but that's something that you're probably best doing with just a standard order up in the bars and plates section up here, and you can stick that in your basket as well. And then let's say, for example, we put a safety bar in there, then we add that to cart. 32 kilos, good to know, good to know. So go to cart here, and then we have an overview of what we need. You can add weights, add clips, etc. from all the other sections on the website, but I'd say the Gym Designer is a great way to get a vision for the space that you're working with and to see what everything could look like from one supplier, like I have done with Black Box. So hopefully that gives you an insight into how I've sort of brought my vision to life, as it were. It's definitely made me think a bit differently about a few things along the way, but Black Box have been, as I've said, very supportive along the whole way. They're delivering in 2 batches based on stock levels, and I'm really quite excited for it all to arrive. So that is part number 1. That is the prep and the design that has gone into the thought process behind this gym. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please make sure that you've subscribed down below and that you have given this video a like. If you think you would have done anything differently, then please let me know down in the comments. Other than that, hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you next week for part 2, which is all about the delivery, the unload, the build, which I'm sure will have its highs and its lows. But thanks again for watching. See you next time.